Hi guys, another Geek123 here. Since the Avengers game is releasing on the 4th of September of this year, and while superheroes have a very mixed bag, it has really made me want to have a deep dive into them. So I'm creating this series named Road to the Avengers 2020, where I look into the most Marvel video games from the year 2000 to the present time now. This series might go on past the Avengers game release, but we'll have to wait and see. It might actually make it be the last episode of me having a proper look into the Avengers game itself, and then putting that as the last episode before the next game. If you get what I mean, it's basically like a video game series about the Marvel games, but still, this is being created around the Avengers 2020. Pretty a stupid complication, but hey, it's me. So for today's episode, let's have a look into the Spider-Man 2000 game. The Spider-Man game, which released on August the 30th, 2000, is an action-adventure game that released on the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Game Boy, Dreamcast and PC. This game has been respected for almost its 20 years of being released, and over its time it's had many very positive reviews as well, with Games Radar calling it the 7th best Spider-Man game, Metacritic giving it an 87, and Christ-Centered Gamer giving an overall 87% as well. The following info will be about what we see in the overall game. The characters we see in this game are Peter Parker, who is our main character, with his supporting characters in this game, which are Eddie Brock's Venom, Black Cat, Daredevil, Punisher and Captain America. Mainly Peter Parker and some of the supporting characters face off against the villains Doc Ock, Carnage, who appears to die in the game, the Jade Syndicate, who has only appeared in this game like its original idea, the NYPD, Scorpion, Rhino and Mysterio. Other characters we see in this game are J. Jonah Jameson, the Daily Bugle Workers, Human Torch, the rest of the Fantastic Four in a poster, the Lizard, Mary Jane Parker, Yes, who is married to Peter in this game, Charmeleon, who is mentioned, Thor, who is mentioned, Galactus, who is mentioned, Microchip, who is heard in the game, and Wolverine, who is in a poster, and Hulk, who is in a poster as well. Overall, these characters are based off the classic comic book versions of themselves. I'll talk more about these characters after talking into the story. Now, moving on to the locations, in this game we are in the Earth TRN 006, which is overall the main Marvel universe in a video game world. We specifically visit its New York City, Manhattan, where we visit lots of places like the Fantastic Four's Plaza, Science Expo 2000, Daily Bugle, Goblin's Lair, the Omnitech and Warehouse 65. Overall, these locations look bland in this game, but in my opinion, that is just what we see of it from now. I think for the year it was released, which was 2000, it's actually not that bad. As I could say about the character models in this game as well, it basically looks like a downed version a little of the GTA games that released around that time, and the GTA games have been massive for most of its release, so that would have been like high production GTA back then. And the Spider-Man game, from my knowledge of researching into it, there's no exact budget, but it was very highly produced, but it wasn't as highly as produced as big names like GTA back then. And another thing about this game as well is that you couldn't actually free roam as Spider-Man around these locations, which sounds odd, yes, because it's a Spider-Man game, we should be able to free roam. But again, this was due to the times of limitations with video games, and it would have been a lot of storage for having the abilities of Spider-Man, the abilities of these other characters, and having a big massive New York world of Manhattan to go around. And it also ties into the story as well, and again, it will just be too powerful for the ports in total. The items in this game mostly consisted in the costumes we got for Spider-Man, which were the Spider Armour, Spider-Man 2099 uniform, Symbiote Spider-Man, Captain Universe Spider-Man, Spidey Unlimited, Scarlet Spidey, Ben Reilly, Quick Change Spidey, and civilian Peter Parker. Just like our modern Spider-Man game, we could get additional powers which went with these costumes, and they aren't as powerful as the PS4 game's powers, but it's still a really cool addition to the game. These suits again were really cool to see what time they were made. Again, sorry, the models for these costumes are still really cool by what time they were made in as well, like the original Spider-Man costume in this game. The civilian Peter Parker is one of my favourites, definitely, and actually something our modern universe has only let us, and that's something that's actually weird and very cool to hear as well, that you can play a civilian Peter Parker if you want to, because you can only play civilian Peter Parker once in the PS4 game, and that's even in DLC. I also think it was really cool we could get to play as the barely seen Spider-Man Unlimited and his suit in this game, since the cartoon released in 1999 and finished in 2001 with just one short season, and he hasn't really been seen since other than that. The other item we see in this game was the Quinjet, which overall is just really cool. It's the only vehicle in the game and you barely see it, but it's still a really cool addition to the game in my opinion. For game modes there was only one, but it's still quite cool. The mode is named the What If mode. I haven't really played this mode strictly before, but from a little research it tells the same story as the regular game, with some cool differences along the way. Some things can happen differently in the story, but the plotline mostly just stays the same as well. You can have some features in this mode, like having the big head cheat, which you can get in the game, but that will pop up randomly around the mini games while you're playing this version of the story, which is still really cool to me. And the characters are mostly the same in this, since it's mostly the same story. Some extra additions in this is the Watcher, Namor, Ghost Rider and Silver Surfer, who can be seen in the background, with Mulhall, who's mentioned in this mode, and James Howlett, who's in a mission as well. Now for the story itself. The story starts our hero Peter Parker at a technology expo held by Otto Octavius, and he witnesses the new device being stolen by a Spider-Man doppelganger. Peter then tries to get in his costume to stop them, but the crowd is too packed and it doesn't let him out in time. Peter then bumps into Eddie Brock, who is enemies with Peter, but Eddie is too busy to notice him taking photos of the criminal. However, the criminal notices the flash from the camera's bulb and destroys it. This results in Eddie being upset that his career won't start up again anytime soon, and the criminal gets away. This makes Eddie very angry and makes him transform into Venom, vowing for revenge. Meanwhile, two anonymous beings activate a machine which releases a strange fog into the city. Soon after, Spider-Man heads to the First National Bank to stop a robbery in progress. These criminals that are new to the scene, named the Jade Syndicate, I don't know how I cannot pronounce that, go a little too far compared to other robbers and destroy two NYPD choppers when they attempt to capture them. Spider-Man sneaks in by taking care of the rooftop guards, and Spidey ends up defeating the thugs and freed the hostages. However, the crooks in the vaults activate a time bomb which forces Spidey to beat them quickly and find a place to toss the bomb. The hero ends up chucking it inside a safe and everything is okay as he leaves the bank. Peter then calls JJ to report that he's gathered photos of the robbery, but Jameson tells him to call 911 because Scorpion has came to seek revenge against him. Peter then goes back into his suit and races over to the Daily Bugle. He then fights Scorpion as Jameson hides. However, after Scorpion is down, Jameson calls the police on Spider-Man since the doppelganger is still on the loose. Spidey escapes and then talks to Daredevil about his innocence, but the police ends up catching up with him again. Spider-Man then runs for his life while cops chase him, but the cops won't let him go easily. They're using really deadly force, including missiles. He then finally loses them after they crash their helicopter into the transmitter tower. Black Cat then drops by, informing him for even more problems ahead. She tells him that Rino has started a rampage on Omnitech, Venom has kidnapped Mary Jane, which taunts Spider-Man even more. Black Cat offers to take down Rhino for him, but he refuses and heads to Omnitech with her. However, when they arrive, they are too late and another device is stolen by the villains. Rhino then manages to wound Black Cat, leaving Spider-Man to fight him on his own. Even though Rhino is strong, Spider-Man manages to take advantage of his low intelligence and the environment. Spider-Man then takes down Rhino as the cops and Doc Ock return, and they take Rhino into custody. Black Cat is also taken away in an ambulance as she tries to warn Peter that the paramedics are actually captors, but she gets cut off and he cannot hear her. Spider-Man then finds Johnny Storm for help about where to find Venom, but after they talk, the symbiote finds him and proposes him for a race. Spider-Man accepts this, but it ends them both being in a battle between each other, but Venom ends up escaping through the sewers. Spider-Man then follows him, putting him in a trap where it's a like-type maze quest, which makes Spider-Man having to fight lizard men while solving the puzzles. It then ends up with Peter finding Mary Jane dangling by a chain over a large tank. Venom then appears again and activates a switch, causing water to pour into the tank. The Spider-Man then turns on the switch and defeats Venom while making sure he doesn't drown Mary Jane. Spider-Man then confronts Venom and tells and explains to him that he is not the bad guy for the heist at the start of the story. He didn't do anything wrong. Spider-Man then explains everything again to Venom, proving his innocence even more, and then they team up to uncover the imposter. Mary Jane's chain actually snaps after that, but Venom saves her, proving that he's on Spider-Man's side. Then trying to get clues on the imposter, they both go to the Daily Bugle. But suddenly Venom detects a presence of Carnage and heads off to stop him, leaving Spider-Man behind. Spider-Man then finds the Bugle to be infested with symbiotes. He then goes in deeper, destroying several symbiote generators along the way, and he soon reaches the basement. After destroying 2 more generators, Venom has to encounter his imposter, who reveals himself to be Mysterio. Spider-Man then beats him and interrogates him. Mysterio tells Spider-Man about a planned symbiote invasion, and that the fog, which is covering the city, is preparing all the citizens for symbiosis and acts as a beacon for the alien parasites. He also tells them about Warehouse 65, which is where symbiotes come from. Well, where the symbiotes that are getting produced by Carnage are coming from. Spider-Man then travels down to the warehouse and finds the Punisher, who offers to team up with him, but Spider refuses, choosing to go on his own. He then destroys the remaining symbiote generators and finds a secret passage which leads him into an underwater base. After making his way through the base, he then discovers the source where the fog is coming from, which also uses Octavius' stolen device to power it. He also finds Black Cat, who's trapped inside an energy barrier, and he manages to jam the exhaust ports, which causes a power malfunction which sets Black Cat free. At the end of searching the base, Spider-Man finds both Doc Ock and Carnage. Doc Ock faked his reformation and used his device to help Carnage with the symbiote invasion, so both of them could take over the world. Venom then appears and fights Carnage, and Spider-Man fights Doc Ock. Spider-Man defeats Ock, but Carnage also knocks out Venom, which results them both fighting. Spider-Man then finds a device Doc Ock made in case Carnage turned on him, and uses it to bring Cletus Cassidy out of Carnage. The symbiote then bonds with Doc Ock and transforms it into an original villain for this game named Monster Ock. However, the base starts to collapse and Spider-Man has to escape while Monster Ock chases him. At the end of the vent system, a jetfire engulfs Monster Ock and causes the symbiote to separate from Doc Ock, leaving him knocked out. Spider-Man then doesn't know what to do, since he's in the middle of nowhere carrying Doc Ock, but a Quinjet arrives with Venom, Black Cat and Captain America in to save him. The story ends with Spider-Man playing Go Fish with Captain America, Daredevil and Punisher, while Human Torch and Black Cat are dancing. At the prison, Rhino, Scorpion, Mysterio and a member of the Jade Syndicate are playing the same game. Meanwhile, Doc Ock is hitting his head off the bars as he's mad at his own failure. Overall, the story, yes, covers up excuses for limitations with futures such as free roaming with the fog as an example, but this story is really good to me. It really reminds me of the Spider-Man 90s cartoon, like it's a big massive cartoon special to me, which is actually sort of the reason that the Spider-Man 90s cartoon inspired parts of the story. I also love the concept of a new crew against Spidey, while having the NYPD be against the hero at the same time. And the Monster Ock is kind of a thing a kid could come up with, but I think it's still a cool concept, putting both Spidey's most popular villains together to be the final big race for him. I also love the goofy ending, it just brings back some good memories. For the cast who voiced these characters in this game, we had Rino Romano, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, as Spider-Man, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Doc Ock, Jennifer Hale as Black Cat and Mary Jane, D. Bradley Baker as Carnage, Rhino, JJ, Daredevil and the Lizard, Darren Norris as Venom, Mysterio, Scorpion, Punisher, Johnny Storm and Captain America, Christopher Corey Smith as Captain America, Police Pilot and Microchip, Stan Lee as the narrator of this game, Marcus Sherrock as Monster Ock, the symbiotes themselves, and Liz Men. And for the What If mode, we had Lawrence Fishburne as the Watcher, and that was a really cool addition as well, having a voice for that character in that mode. Honestly, about Romano voicing Peter, I'm not really into it so much, but I think this is from me wanting to at least have a Peter Parker that sounds are like 15 to 21 years old, because I think that's the perfect age for the character. But his voice is in his sort of manly way in this game, but I think that is what it needs to be in this game, to be quite honest, because it's a mature Peter Parker, since that's what the game wants to have, and I kind of respect that still. Well, the people that did the multiple voices such as D. Bradley Baker and Darren Norris, I think that D. Bradley Baker's voices are hit or miss. Pretty much to me that they're mostly all around the same. Just have a listen to some of the voices.
You may have defeated everyone else, but you won't defeat me! Venom couldn't stop me. What makes you think you can?
Well, if it ain't Bug Boy!
Brock, you loser! If I had given a real photographer that job, I would finally have the evidence to send Spider-Man away forever! You won't be able to get a job taking wedding pictures in Siberia!
I don't have to believe you. I know you aren't lying. Let's just say you've got your superpowers, and I've got mine. I'll spread the word about your innocence. Not that it'll help with the cops. Good luck.
Spider-Man! Venom has imprisoned me and has taken my lair. Now he's using my lizard man against you.
While Darren Norris, to me, actually does kind of a better job, he really has a variation with the voices, and most match what the character are meant to be. I'm not saying that's not the same for D as well, but some of the voices don't match the models, if you get what I mean. I'm just also going to play Darren's voice as well to just show that a little.
Can't get a shot! Jameson would pay any price to get this kind of dirt on Spider-Man!
The Venom Marathon continues on the biggest TV in New York. We're shouting out to the whole big rotten apple here, people.
At last, I will crush you once and for all! Now, little spider, you will die!
You put me in this suit, now I'm going to make you pay! You ruined my life, so now I'll end yours!
Something tells me we have the same objective here. That's the place. Warehouse 65. We can team up. You cover my back.
Looks like you're in a lot of trouble. You'll find Venom. Knowing your luck, Venom will find you. Have faith, Spidey.
Okay. Let's keep this a nice, friendly, clean game.
I'll still respect the two though, since they voice so many roles in this game. Finally, we've talked about voice actors. I want to just give so much respect to Marcus Sherrock, who, yes, didn't voice too many popular characters, but he still did such a good job creating some unique voices and sound effects in this game. Just before I finally go into development of this game, I just want to mention that there are a total 32 references to past Spider-Man comic books in this game as well, which is so cool to hear and see. Some examples of this are references to the Amazing Spider-Man comics, the Death of Captain Stacy storyline, and Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man comics. Now finally for what we know about this game's development. This game was made on the same engine as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This also ended up making Spider be a hidden character in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. PlayStation, Dreamcast and PC versions of the game has pre-rendered cutscenes, whereas the Nintendo 64 shows captioned freeze-framed, done in like a style of a comic book, and with fewer voice clips due to the console's technical limitations for cutscenes. The Lizard, who was also overall meant to appear in the final cutscene, but he actually did not end up in it. The earliest footage of the game was found in a German demo disc entitled Play Demo Volume 17 and features some drastic changes from the final product. This included a different opening sequence, placeholder voices that actually weren't the official voice cast of the game, different music and some different models as well. For Scorpion, he had a very different model, probably the most changed. Instead of being altered, it had a totally different model. An entirely different Rhino boss stage and a sewer level was also in the demo that actually didn't end up in the game as well. Just to go back a little to the voice actors in this project in total, there is a lot of actors/actors that I mentioned before who were actually reprised from the 90s cartoon and Spider-Man Unlimited. For example, Romano, who voices Peter, also voiced Peter Unlimited. Even though I kind of think his voice in Unlimited's a bit different and better, but I don't know, it's up to you guys as well. Comment down your thoughts about that. Jennifer Hale played Black Cat in the 90s cartoon and Mary Jane in Unlimited as well. And Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. played Doc Ock in the 90s cartoon as well. The main song in the game is also a rock and roll remix of the 1960s Spider-Man theme. Finally came for overall this information about this game. The soundtrack as a whole was composed by Tommy Tirico, and it features a variation of musical loops mostly influenced by popular games from the time of 2000, such as an industrial of rock and metal. The Nintendo 64 version also includes a sound test where individual samples of tracks can be listened to as well. Overall, in my opinion, the soundtrack is good for what it is, and honestly, the police chopper chase instrumental slaps. So that is all the information I can find about the Spider-Man 2000 game, guys. I really want to carry on this series, so expect more videos about classic Marvel games from the 2000s all the way up to the present ones, with Spider-Man and the Avengers game that's releasing later on in this year. I honestly think this game is very entertaining, one of the best Spider-Man games that I've played. Don't have it anymore. I didn't really play it on my own consoles either. I sort of just ended up playing it at like a cousin's house, but still, it's really entertaining, and I actually watch people play this sometimes on YouTube. I also mentioned the police chopper chase instrumental because I actually listen to that sometimes when I'm listening to other instrumentals from different Spider-Man media. Honestly, again, it's a great game. I want to hear your guys' opinions about it. If you have any other information about this game, you can comment down below. Maybe some memories of you playing it as well. It doesn't have to be your final opinion about the game. If you like this video, please like. If you dislike the video, please dislike. It gives me feedback to improve as a whole. And if you had any problems or you want to give feedback, good or bad as well, you can also comment down that below as well. And if you've been watching my content for a while now and have not yet, please subscribe. It will make my day. Honestly, I love to see how many people are engaged with my videos. Sounds a bit douchey, but honestly, I just love that people like to hear me talk about this type of stuff. So thank you so much for watching, guys.